So far, we have seen agents that can have conversations with LLMs. But what distinguishes an agent from a chatbot? To understand that, we should have a look at reactive paradigm of agents, which means an agent acts based on getting some information, then taking an action, then getting some feedback, then taking more actions. This is called reactive paradigm of agents. To enable this, we should define something that we call tools. So tools are like the set of powers that we give to an agent that it can use them at the proper moment. To define a tool in LangChain, we basically define a function and then put a tool decorator on top of that turns a function to a tool. When it comes to defining a tool, it's important to pay attention to function name and its description, because this data acts as metadata for the LLM to understand what this tool does and how it works. Here, for example, I have a USD to Euro conversion tool, which basically gets the money value at USD and then changes it to Euro. You can also have a different name for your tool other than the function name. For that, you just pass the tool name as the first argument of the tool decorator. You can do the same for the description as well. Alright, now let's see how can we call a tool. So I just run these cells, and then I call Invoke method on our tool and then pass the argument that we have. So here it gives me the equivalent of the USD amount but in Euro. To add the tools to our agent, we should add them at the creation phase. So when you use the create agent, you pass a tools argument and then give a list of tools that you want your agent to have access to them. After that, you can just basically ask any question that you want. For example, how much is $20 in Euro? And it gives the answer, which is like 17 euros. Let's have a look at what happens under the hood when we use the tool. So it starts by a human message, which is the message that we passed. Then we have an AI message with an empty content, which is sort of strange, but it's empty because what happened actually in this message is that our AI agent called the tool. Here we can see the tool information. And the tool responded with the answer. And then we have another AI message that uses that answer to create the final message for us. To look deeper, this is what the tool information actually looks like. We have a name, args, and a specific ID for that call. The USD to Euro tool that we just built is a simple one, which doesn't really add so much power to our agent. But let's go one step further and see what kind of tools we can actually add to our agent, which makes them way more powerful. One of the main things that we can add to our agent is the ability to search on the web. Imagine how powerful an LLM can be when it can search freely on the web and get fresh information. Without web search, we have limitations on asking some sort of questions. Let's see an example here. We create an agent without any tool, and then we ask who performed at the halftime show of Super Bowl 2026. When you run this, and you look at the message from the AI, it says that Super Bowl 2026 hasn't happened yet, which is wrong. But why is that? That's because our LLM doesn't have the fresh information. And we can check that by asking how up to date is your training knowledge. And here you can see that for GPT 5.4 Nano, the data is up to August 2025. Now let's see how can we add a web search tool to our agent. For that, we use a service called Tavily. Tavily enables web search for your AI agents. And the good news is that it's actually free for researchers. So as soon as you sign up, you will get your API key and you're good to go. After getting the API key from Tavily, you should open your environment file and at the Tavily API key, just paste your API key here, save, and then you're good to go. So what we do here is that we create a Tavily client and then we create a web search tool, which basically calls the search method and passes a query. We can test it out by invoking a tool and passing a search query like who performed at the halftime show of Super Bowl 2026. And as you can see, we will get a bunch of results, which has URL, title, and content. So now we pass the web search tool to our agent and ask the same question again. And let's have a look at the messages. So the first message is a human message, which is our question. And then we have an empty AI message. And then we have the tool message, which is the response to that query. And at the end, we will have a AI message, which we can print it out here, which says the halftime show of Super Bowl 2026 was headlined by Bad Bunny. After understanding the tools, now we can make much more powerful agents. In the next video, we will understand how to add memory to our agents so they can remember the stuff. See you in the next video, and please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video.